It's the early 1800s, and thousands of settlers are moving west to find new territories in the American frontier. You might be familiar with the term the Wild West, and well, the people of this era earned that reputation. There was no shortage of bad behavior, but there was a shortage of churches and ministers to reach these people. So, how do forward-thinking pastors solve this problem? Well, the answer is as simple as it is innovative. Circuit riders. The circuit riders of the 1800s were Protestant ministers who traveled throughout remote areas of the United States by horse. One circuit rider could pastor in several places on his circuit. And this breakthrough led to another breakthrough: camp meetings. You know, those old-fashioned tent revivals? They were invented during this time. Here's how it happened. Circuit riders traveled all over the country in dangerous terrain, harsh weather conditions for weeks and even months at a time. Eventually, these circuit riders were looking for a way to get all these separate people together everywhere all at once. Their solution was to set up a big old tent and invite people from all around to hear the gospel. People would come from miles away to these special events. Being so far from home, they stayed in tents. They camped and attended church meetings, which is where we get the term camp meeting, like Coachella for Jesus. And these aren't small events. As many as 10 to 20,000 people were reported at some of these revival meetings. Families would travel from as far as 30 or 40 miles and pitch their tents around a forest clearing. Log benches and a simple preaching platform became outdoor church, and church would be in session around the clock for several days on end. Everyone brought their own food and took turns feeding the circuit rider pastors, which brings up another important question. Where was everybody going to the bathroom? Anyway, the camp meetings on the Western frontier were a game changer for American society. One of these early camp meeting preachers was James McCready. He's best known for organizing and leading a revival in Kentucky's Bourbon County known as the Cane Ridge Revival. This was an unprecedented gathering of its time and considered one of the largest camp meetings in American history, drawing between 20 and 30,000 people. And let me show you the humility he demonstrated. In his own words, he said this:
"And may I ever lie the lowest, humblest creature in the dust, when I reflect the Lord made use of me, mean and unworthy, to begin the glorious work in both these blessed seasons. I rejoice at the prospect. I expect to meet with many souls in heaven who are my spiritual children in both these revivals."
And that's what I love about so many of these pioneers. They weren't out to make a name for themselves. They were simply telling the world about Jesus. And along the way, they found inventive ways to cast broader and bigger nets to reach more and more people.